Hello and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jonathan Giles. Welcome along. On tonight's show, Wednesday the 13th of March, we'll be reviewing last night's last 16 second leg Champions League victory over Sergio Conceição's FC Porto side. So sit back and enjoy the show. On tonight's show, I'm joined by my regular guests at this stage, heading into our third year now of doing this podcast, which is mad. I'm joined by Matt Bourne. How are you, Matt?
I'm good, pal. How are you?
Not too bad, Matt. Thanks for coming along, as always.
No bother at all.
I'm also joined by Erdik Shadwins from Sweden. How are you, Erdik?
Well, I'm not from Sweden, but it's good to be back.
Based in Sweden, we put it. One of many countries he's been in, but yeah, thanks for coming on, Erdik. As always, welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
I think it's been a while. I think it might have been, the end of December was your last show.
Yeah, Christmas. I think it was the FA Cup.
Yeah, it was.
It was me and Matt following up on the FA Cup. So we'll try and do better this time.
This seems to be a good one too. So it's good to have you back on board, lads, for this special midweek show. I'd also like to mention our friends over at Pepsi Cola. Congrats on their logo reveal. It's their first logo reveal in 14 years. And there's Matt sporting the Pepsi Max can. As their motto says, thirsty for more. And if you can give them a like on their Twitter page, it'd be much appreciated. So congrats to them. And Pepsi, of course, sponsors the Champions League as well. And we begin our review from last night's match. 1-0 on the night. Leandro Trossard in the 40 minutes. But it went to penalties in what was really a nail-biting, liver-biting game. I could safely say over 120 minutes. And hopefully we won't be going through much of that over the next few rounds. I don't think I could take any more. Penalties by Odegaard, Havertz, Saka and Rice all successfully converted. Pepe and Grujic got the penalties for FC Porto, but Wendell and Galeno had their penalty saved, and Grujic's penalty, which was Porto's third, David Ray got even fingertips to that one, so it could have been even 4-1 in penalties. But David Ray, really nice goalkeeper to have in terms of spot kicks. The match overall, really, we were talking before we came on there. It's hard to really. There wasn't really one standout player you could say for Arsenal, but I thought Martin Odegaard again got the Arsenal midfield by the scruff of the neck again, and kept us going throughout the match, I thought, along with Declan Rice. Even Gabriel Jesus came off the bench, was unlucky not to score. He nearly put it through the goalkeeper's leg. In fairness, I thought FC Porto, in fairness to them, in last night's match, Conceição had them really tactically really good. They stopped Saka really from causing damage to them. I thought Otavio, I think his name was, over on that side, really marked him out of the game. And Pepe's experience at centre back, he guided that back line really well. So they've got a good squad there, Porto. And when you take in last night's match and the match on Saturday against Brentford, they weren't the 4-5-0 that we've been used to over the last few weeks, just back to getting them scruffy wins. But I prefer to watch them type of matches, as bad as it is for the heart. It shows how far we've come to keep going. And, when teams have that low block, as Eric said before we came on air, we kind of rushed it at times. And as frustrating as it was, we found ways to get through. And I thought that Leandro Trossard was really well worked. The disallowed goal, Odegaard's goal, around midway late into the second half, thought it was a bit unfair. I thought Pepe was dragging Havertz. I thought it was maybe should have been given, but I thought the referee wasn't great, like the referee we had 3 weeks ago. But nonetheless, we're into the last 8 draws on Friday. I'll come to you, Eric, since it's been a while since you've been on. What did you make of last night's match?
Yeah, I mean, I basically watched most of it through my fingers, and you know, it was about as nerve-wracking of a game as you can get. And
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe to your point earlier, that welcome to the rest of the season, more or less, where every game is going to have so much at stake because of how good we've been, and we've put ourselves in positions to be successful. You know, the match itself, was it our best performance? Probably not. But to your point, I think we really dug in, we grounded out, and you need to rely on your big time players to come through in these matches. And Martin Odegaard showed his bit of class. And I mean, the movement to create the angle, and then a 10-yard slip ball that's so perfect that Trossard had to score. You know, and it was that moment that got us even to penalties. And I think that as we go through the rest of the season, this is where it's going to be guys like Odegaard and Saka and others who we really rely on their production. They're going to have to step it up even another gear and kind of show that they're the man. And I thought Odegaard did that last night. I thought he put in so much pressing work. He was really good on the ball. He was one of the few guys I thought that wasn't rushing or overhitting passes. He was keeping the ball. He was pressing them. And overall, look, I think that, to your point, Porto set up well. Their work rate was really serious, and they negated a lot of the stuff we wanted to do. And I think that's sort of the experience of the Champions League, right? Like these are, you know, I get that. Yes, potentially we were supposed to win that match, but ultimately these are big stakes, big games, and they're not going to be easy. So to my mind, I thought that what I liked is the personality of the team to keep going. I thought we defended really well. Even Jakub Kivior might have had his best game as an Arsenal player, defending, and was really solid on the ball. Didn't seem to be turning it over too much. And so, yeah, look, I think that as I watched this game, the tension built, and you were just waiting for us to get that goal. Obviously, it didn't come. I thought it was probably a foul on Havertz. You know, it's maybe a bit soft. It probably didn't impact the play. He did grab his shirt. It's kind of one of those where I think if that happened the other way around and they gave the goal, we'd be screaming bloody murder. That was a foul on this podcast. So, you know, fair is fair. I thought the referee, I thought he dictated the flow of the game too much. And I think very similar to the other one, where it just wasn't clear, like, even how much he was going to blow his whistle at times too, which was weird. He let some things go, but then some very ticky-tack stuff he would blow the whistle for, and you were just like, you know, I wasn't delighted with how broken up the play of the game was, but that's also what Porto set out to do, because, you know, the amount of work and pressing they were doing, if they weren't breaking up play and slowing the game down, they wouldn't have been able to keep up with it. And I think you saw that actually, because one of the sustained kind of 5 to 10 minutes of pressure we had was right at the end of the second half. And we created a few half chances, and we really had them press back well and had a couple breaks. And I thought that was one of the first periods of the match, actually, or maybe of both legs, where there was like this 10 minutes without a real break. And I think you could see our team came into the game with that. And then, of course, you know, a guy immediately laid on the ground for 5 minutes and got subbed off. And it is what it is, right? Like, that's just how these games are going to go. Like, if we get Atletico Madrid or Inter or one of those teams in the next round, it's not going to be that different. You know, like this is just part and parcel to football in the Champions League. And I think we just have to acknowledge that and know that these games are going to be tight, and we got to find ways through. And that's what we did. Overall, I think, you know, the team itself is going to look back at this, and it's going to be a huge confidence boost going forward, to know that they did get through this, because that was a significant challenge. You know, and they held their nerve. Even in the penalties, we looked really strong, confident,
Yeah.
clear ideas going in from the shooters, and then obviously RAYYAAAA made a couple great saves, and that's all we needed to do. So, it's the most important thing about this whole thing is that we won, and we're into the quarterfinals for the first time in 14 years, and kind of the performance and everything else is sort of secondary to the result. I think in this, whereas I think in most matches, particularly in the Premier League, you're always focused on what was the performance, because it's over time tells you a lot about where the team is going to go in the league. But I think in the Champions League, especially in the knockout stage, it's just about winning, and that's what we did.
How impressed were you with David Raya in the penalty shootout? Did you expect him to save those 2 penalties? As I said earlier, even the tour. But as you said just a couple of moments ago, he made 2 big saves during the match.
Yeah.
How impressed are you with David Raya?
Yeah, I thought he was really good. I think what I really liked is I thought he calmed the game down at the back for us a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought our center backs were going long too much. I thought we were really forcing the ball a little bit, but he was calm on the ball. He had a couple moments where he was able to get his foot on the ball, and then we were able to play out of pressure really well. I thought he claimed a couple crosses really well that just kind of relieved the stress and pressure. And I think that's what he's really good at, right? He's really good at stepping in and stopping something from turning out to be a bad situation kind of before it even starts.
Yeah.
And so during the game, I thought he was calm. And I think that you could see that in the penalty shootout. He was, I think he had a pretty clear idea ahead of each shot exactly where he was going to go. And he bet big, and he got rewarded for it. So I thought he was really good. I think he's actually been really good for us since he came in. Obviously he had a couple hiccups here and there at the start of his time, but for the most part, I just think that when you see him play, he brings a sense of calm to our defense, and I think that and to the team in general. And I just think you saw that kind of personified in the way that he approached the shootout, but also just the way he performed the whole match.
Do you think as well, the loss of Gabriel Martinelli last night, do you think he would have brought a little bit more, caused a bit more havoc in the Porto backline?
Yeah, I mean, Martinelli is obviously always a big miss for us. He's one of our only players that offers out and out pace. And one of the things you could see with Trossard is where he was struggling is that if we played a ball over the top to him, he wasn't going to run away from anybody.
Yeah.
And so, there just wasn't that out ball or that person that was going to stretch their defense a little bit. And so we really had to build up much more slowly and start to push them back. And even when off his goal, right, it comes off, we pressed over on the right, won the ball. Odegaard runs all the way across the pitch to get it, passes it to Trossard, who passes it back to him before anything even sort of materialized. And then, of course, Odegaard had a moment of brilliance. But, even if Martinelli was just good for 30 minutes last night, that would have made a massive difference in even extra time, right? So not having him even as potential off the bench obviously limited a lot of what we could do. That said, I thought Jesus looked relatively sharp when he came on, and everything else. I just think fitness, he's not quite there yet. I think that's the advantage now of having 3 weeks before the next match. We have a lot of guys coming back from injury. Party, Zinchenko, who played, but he didn't look fully fit either.
Yeah.
And we're going to have time to get these guys fit. So that's a big boost, I think, to the squad, and hopefully we'll be able to go into that City match pretty close to full strength. And I think that's a massive change from how we went into this stretch of the season last year. Is we're starting to get healthy at the right time instead of losing all our players at the wrong time. And I think Martinelli is going to be a huge piece of the puzzle for the rest of the year. But it's great that we have a guy like Trossard who, whether or not he had a great game overall last night, he's somebody who, in his moment, he's a good finisher. And he went and he did the business last night. And what more do you want? If he plays a mediocre game but scores a goal every time, I won't complain too much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's been a great signing since last January, all right. As well, before I move on to Matt, we had our very own Arsenal Ultra fan in the crowd last night. The man that puts the show together, Martin's done. The TV camera moved on to him last night, so he done us proud getting this big face, ugly face on TV. No doubt he spurred the Arsenal team on when they saw him.
He'll edit that out, Jonathan. He'll edit that out what you just said. Yeah.
As he says himself, Pepsi Cola, thirsty for more. And by the looks of him, I think he had a skin full of drink down him. So he was far from thirsty. But as I move on to you, Matt, as we said at the start, 14 years since the last time we reached the quarterfinals. It was actually against FC Porto in 2010 when Nicholas Bender got the hat-trick, 5-0 that night, but completely different last night. He silenced the Emirates crowd as well, FC Porto. They done their tactics fairly well, What did you make of the performance last night, Matt?
Yeah, pretty much what Eric said. I suppose as Arsenal fans, we've been on such a good run. We scored so many goals. We've had so many clean sheets. We expect it every week. We actually got to the stage where we're going, we got to win 4-0 here, because you could even see the boys yesterday on one of the chats were saying, giving their predictions, they were all 4-1 and 3-1. And, it doesn't work like that in Europe.
No.
Generally, and when you get to this stage, in fairness to Porto, hands up, they absolutely played a stormer over the two legs. You got to give them credit for that. They really, really put it to us. Yes, we're a stronger side than them, and we came out, they came out very, very strong at the start of the game, frustrated us. They set up perfectly. They didn't. I don't think they came to win the game. I think they were kind of by extra time. They were looking at getting passes on penalties, but I think credit to them. They set up really, really well. There was very few standout performances on our part. I said this before we came on, that I didn't think there was any major standout performances. I actually had RAYYAAAA down as man of the match before the penalty shootout because he made a couple of really good stops. But Kior, like you said, Jacob Kior was absolutely outstanding last night. Our defence was absolutely brilliant, and when we're not performing all over the pitch, and you've got that defence who is there and being able to keep clean sheets and work very, very hard. I thought Ray was phenomenal on crosses. He gives us so much confidence at the back. And, for a lot of the season, we all love Aaron Ramsdale. We all do. We still have a great place in our heart for him. But Ray has brought some serious stability to that back line. Serious. To have a player like him behind you can only make you stronger. And at this stage of the season, you'll take your 2-1s and your 1-0s and your penalty shootouts as long as you're winning. We can have no complaints. Porto definitely put it up to us last night, but all that matters is the result. And we're into the quarterfinals. It's been a long, long time since we've been there, and we deserve to be there. And the beauty of it is, I suppose, from this stage on, you've got 8 teams left, and out of the 8 teams that are left, you've got football playing teams. They're all going to come out and play football. They're not going to sit back and try to get a 0-0 draw or restrict. They're all going to play football, and we play football. So any team, I'd be happy to play any of the sides that are left. I think if we're going to win this competition, you've obviously got to beat the best to be the best. And any of them at this stage will be just beautiful to see. To be back on one of these big European nights where you're playing one of the big sides. I'd love to see us play Barcelona over 2 legs. I'd love to see us play City over 2 legs. I'd hate to get all the way to the final and have City beat us at that stage if that was going to happen. So listen, we've got to have lots of confidence. We've won 8 league games in a row. We're into the quarterfinal of the Champions League. We're in a really good position. We got to keep pushing and pushing, but we're not going to win every game 4-0 and 5-0. We've got to fight. We've got to dog it sometimes to get results. And I think last night was one of them nights. I never felt like we were going to lose. I never felt like we were going to go out, even when the penalties came. Whereas I was looking through my hands, but I was very confident we beat them. And respect to Raya, to save 2 and almost save 3 in a penalty shootout, the biggest game of his career that he's played, basically. And he was able to do that. I thought to see him standing in the goal there waiting to face the penalties, I just thought he looked huge in that goal. Reminding me of David Seaman back in the day. You always felt confident that he would get down at the right time and save it. And he did. He was just absolutely brilliant to see. And I see Ramsdale ran over to him after as well to give him a big hug too, which was really nice to see as well, But the crowd last night, the atmosphere at the stadium must have been absolutely intense. The way Arsenal have set it up over the last while to get the crowd really on board. They'd be putting stuff in on the seats for people to hold up and banners and getting people to bring their scarves and the music and just everything is coming together at the right time. And I'm a bit upset really that we're top of the league now with 10 games to go. You want to be top of the league with, 2 or 3 games to go. I don't know if it's a bit too early for us. If the pressure will start kicking in then, now that we're top, if that's going to affect us mentally at all, hopefully not. Listen, guys, we're in a really good position. Arteta's given us, over the last couple of years, belief that we haven't had in a long, long time. We didn't have it for the later Wenger years. We didn't have it when Emery was there. But we've got belief now. We're thereabouts. We're in this fight. We're in this fight where we're fighting for a title. We're fighting for a Champions League. And it's huge for a club like Arsenal, And just to be part of that and to be able to go to the stadium and appreciate all this and to take in that atmosphere and to be part of this forum here that we're on and to be able to knock heads and argue and everything else, it's fantastic. But it's great times to be an Arsenal fan. When all comes to all, we may get nothing from it, but we've got this, and we've got the last couple of years of being thereabouts with a young squad who are only going to get better. We said that a couple of years ago that this squad, when Saka, a couple of years, Saka's going to be this player, that player. These players are going to be here for the next 5-6 years at least, playing together, hopefully. And things can only get better. We're going to push on and on. If we get a title out of it, if we get a Champions League out of it, fantastic. But absolutely chuffed with the result last night, I got to say. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I had an early start this morning. So straight after it, I had to go straight to bed because I was up really early this morning, but it was well worth it. Well worth it now, I got to say.
Yeah, it was. It was an emotional roller coaster. I don't know how early felt. It was well after midnight there where you were early in our time frame, yeah. But I thought, I thought Jorginho in midfield brought his wealth of experience, from being in the Champions League with Chelsea and winning the Euros with Italy a few years back. You could see, I thought Rice, Odegaard and Jorginho done really well in midfield. They kept things ticking, I know he had to come off after 83 minutes. He was making 1 or 2 tackles that, he's just getting a bit leggy. But his overall performance, Matt, Jorginho, do you think that experience, it's starting to show now, isn't it? He's a real pro.
We've spoken about Jorginho on several occasions on this. He's been phenomenal since he came in. He really, really has. To have that experience in the squad, you always need a player like that in the squad. We have a very, very young squad. And to have somebody with that experience and with the amazing football brain he has, a really, really amazing football brain. And we'd love, you'd love to have had Jorginho 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, he's in his prime, yeah.
And got them years out of him because he's just fantastic. He was getting a bit towards the end of the game last night. You could tell the pace of it was maybe a bit too much for him. Yeah. But he has been brilliant since he's come in. We all talk about Rice, how what a brilliant signing he's been, and all these 8 out of 10 players that we have. Ben White's one of the top defenders in the world at this stage. Whoever thought Ben White would have been one of the top defenders in the world when he joined, but he's been just incredible. But you always need that one player in the squad who's like the father of the squad, who's gonna talk to these young players and get them motivated and everything else. And Jorginho is that guy. We had Xhaka when we lost Xhaka last season. I think Jorginho stepped into that space and went, I'm going to look after these kids now, and he's done an amazing job. He's performed whenever he's come on, whenever he's needed. He's performed brilliantly, and he never complains, never complains about anything. You never hear rumors about him not being happy or anything else. He just gets on with his job, and he's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
I think it's been clever as well, the way Arteta is easing Gabriel Jesus just nicely back in again, isn't he? He's not rushing him back, and you could see that chance he had that nearly went through the goalkeeper's legs.
He's
just biting to get back into a whole match again, isn't he? You can see he's just itching again, and he's just building them back up nicely. I think I'll go in 3 weeks' time.
It was lovely. What I saw, there was a clip there I saw today of Jesus on the bench singing "The Angel," North London Forever.
Yeah,
with the crowd, Yeah. So that's the kind of vibe that's going around. Like the players are getting involved on the bench,
Yeah, that's
Listen, I think Jesus. I think with this international break now, I think you'll see Jesus getting a lot more minutes. Where you fit him in the same way as where you fit Zinchenko in now at this stage even, or Tomiyasu. The squad has been playing so well together. How do you automatically push him back in? So I think he would probably, he'll certainly play a lot more minutes, but whether he'll play the same amount of minutes that he's used to, I don't know. But listen, we've got depth there now. We've got a squad there now. We've got a bench that look incredibly strong. Yeah. And like you said, Jonathan, about this time last season we were losing Saliba for the rest of the season, and we had injuries, and we had a weak bench, and we couldn't replace this player and that player. This season, it's all coming back at the right time, So we do have that depth there if we need it, and I believe that. Listen, we just got to keep pushing. We've got 10 games left. We've got 10 finals left in the league. And we've got a couple of finals left in the Champions League as well. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I would just follow on with that to say, he's obviously going to have to play a big role before the end of the year, in the same way that, a lot of these guys coming back in. I don't think Zinchenko's gone. I think it's just going to be we're going to be able to match up with teams better. We're going to, in the Premier League, if we play a team with a super deep block and say we have Jesus back, we can put Havertz into that midfield role. All of a sudden you say, oh, well, because we took Jorginho out, we need some more progressive passing. So you push Zinchenko in. What we're going to have is options. And I think that that's the big difference between last year. Is last year we sort of had, this is the game we play. And if that doesn't work, we're kind of in deep trouble. Yeah. Whereas this year, it's we just have a very flexible tactical approach to how we can go into any of these games. And one thing I would say too is hopefully Jesus gets fit, because if Martinelli's not fit by the time we start that City match, I would have to think that it would be Jesus starting out on the left. With Havertz up top or something along those lines. So, we're going to need him. And one, he's a phenomenal player. So and once we're into that kind of the quarterfinals, we're going to say 2 weeks there with at least 3 games. So there's going to be a real need for rotation as well. So all of these players are going to be important. The most important thing is that we get them fit by the end of that international break.
Yeah. With the actually, I'll come to your man of the matches before I move on. Your man of the match from last night, Eric.
I was going to say Odegaard. I just think Odegaard, he stepped up and was counted. This was a game where that was needed, and ultimately he delivered, and that was what was really important. Is that he said, I'm not going to let us lose this game. He came up with a moment of brilliance, and then he stepped up for that first penalty and he bagged it home. And it's just everything he did said, I'm not going to let us lose this match. And I just thought his pressing and work rate throughout the whole whole game was really incredible. So Martin Odegaard for me.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Eric. It was very close match near the end for the man of the match. I think when he scored that penalty and he gave the fist pumps into the arse of the crowd, you can see he's becoming a real fan favourite since he joined in 2021 now, which is mad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we should overlook, like, obviously that disallowed goal was a bummer, but the finish was pretty good. It was
it's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, so
stripes finish, wasn't it? Like,
it was
the right time.
And he was almost the hero right then and there too. So, like, he was on it the whole match, and I just thought all of our moments of danger, even kind of those half chances we created in the last 10 minutes of the match, like the Jesus chance, the shot that Jesus almost poked home, a couple of those where, that all came because Odegaard forced the issue and was the one creating chances for us.
Yeah, 100% match. He's Arsenal running through his veins, isn't he? And I think since the turn of the year, since we've gone on this great run of 8 wins in the league, and with that win last night, he's been, aside from himself and Rice, he's been an exceptional player. He's entered another level since they've come back in Dubai. That whatever was said during that trip, it's worked wonders. Your man of the match from last night, Matt?
Yeah, I'm hoping to kind of go on another trip to Dubai now on the international break. Wouldn't be too bad, Yeah, listen, look, I'm giving it to Raya because I had Raya down as man of the match before the penalties. I'd already made a note that Raya was my man of the match simply because he looked so solid on all the crosses. He made a couple of really good saves, and he's given us that extra dimension in our defence. He's had a phenomenal amount of clean sheets this season. He's been brilliant. And, but, Ray is my man of the match. But Odegaard, for the last couple of games, I've been watching Odegaard play, and I've just been in awe of the kind of player that he is. The amount of work he puts in the game is incredible. And I said it to Eric at the start of the game, or before we came on air, he was the one trying to stop everything coming out of their defence. He was running at everybody, trying to stop them from playing out from the back. And at one stage, he managed to block and create a chance early on in the game. But every week in, week out, people are gonna say Rice, and they're gonna say Odegaard, they're gonna say Havertz, and it's very rarely that a goalkeeper will get man of the match. But for me, apart from his being so solid for the whole game, the penalty shootout, I didn't see anything getting by him. He was absolutely brilliant. And
look, just for full disclosure, Raya would have been the other choice, right? Like, he was really good last night. I thought I totally agree with you on that point. So there's no bad choice.
Oh, I know, it's a tough call. It's a tough call.
Yeah, it's all forgiven, Eric. Don't worry. You're entitled to a mistake for man of the match. I see Eric's drinking the Pepsi Cola there.
Well, that's what you get. That's what you get for agreeing with me.
No, I have to give it to David Raya. He really done his homework well. You could see that they done their homework, and FC Porto did go to penalties, but he's just got massive hands as a goalkeeper. It kind of reminds you of David Seaman. He had massive hands, but to get near 3 of them out of 4 takes some doing, and he's becoming a fan's favourite, and he's only there since August. So another great bit of transfer business from Edu and Arteta. Yeah, I have to say there was another person close to my man of the match. It was our very own, as I said earlier, Martin Stumville, for frightening TV audiences around the world with that that bird. It would have frightened even the opposition, so I think he might have had a part to play. So done, Martin Stumville, you get the man of the match here for us. Of course, with the draw now on Friday the 15th, I think it's going to be around 11 or 12 our time. The likes of Man City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, to name a few that are in that 8. Who would you fancy, Eric? Who would you like to get in the last 8 out of them?
Yeah, look, this is the most stacked quarterfinal stage I can remember. It doesn't look like there's a single team that's not a big name. Obviously we don't know the results right now. It looks like Dortmund will probably go through against PSV, but that could change in a heartbeat, as we know. So, I mean, look, Dortmund is probably the worst team on paper of the 8 teams, but I wouldn't fancy going to Dortmund either. I would say this. I think that this Arsenal team can match up against any team in the world, and I don't think we should be scared of any of those teams. I think the only team I'd want to avoid is City, mostly just because we're going to see us play City again in a few weeks, and that's plenty for me for right now. But I think a tie against like a PSG or one of the Italian teams or something like that would be kind of great fun. Barcelona could be another one, but to me, I think that really the only team I'd want to avoid is City. Every other tie is like, it's going to be great, it's going to be unique, it's going to be a big Champions League night, and that's what we want.
Yeah, and I think, as Matt said as well, before I come on to yourself, Matt, to ask you, the 7 teams, including ourselves, that are left in it, you won't be getting teams like FC Porto to play, coming to the Embers playing a low block. The home and away legs will be both teams trying to play football. Which is going to be, as a neutral, it's mouthwash, and it's probably the best 8 in many a year that's been left in the Champions League. And I say UEFA rubbing their hands there. Who would you like to get out? They're all in their own right, all top class teams, but us being the most in 14, you could say, along with Leverkusen since the turn of the year. Who would you like to get out? Teams?
Any of them. Any of them.
Bring them on.
Any of them, because we're capable of beating any of them. I honestly believe that, and that includes City, that includes Bayern, that includes PSG, anybody. We're not going to win this competition unless we beat everybody that's put up against us, and so bring it on. Any of them is absolutely fine with me at this stage. I'd love to avoid Barcelona and get them all the way to the final and get our sweet revenge. That would be really nice,
but
listen, it's gonna whatever happens, it's gonna be a great 2 legs of football, and like I say, every team that's left in the competition now come to play football. They don't come to try to stop you playing football, and it'll be intriguing to see what happens. But happy for anybody. It doesn't bother me at all. So bring it on.
You can see the confidence flowing through Eric and Matt tonight. It's great. There's nothing better than a winning feeling, I tell you. It's going to be a great last 10 games in the Premier League and in the Champions League. The best 2 months you could hope for. Bring
your defibrillator with you. You'll need it.
And a hefty wallet for all that alcohol you'd be consuming. I don't know, after last night now, there's not much left in my heart left. I tell you one thing, supporting Arsenal does put you through, so it puts you through your paces. But it's great to be in the last 8, as Mikel Arteta said. This team has come so far, really in the last year or 2, since he's moulded this team. And, it's just great times. You can just see that with the fans. We're getting our club back again. We're getting our mojo back, and it'd be great just to make the final, wouldn't it? Just to be there, again, to be amongst the elite is great. And what a job he's done. We've myself in particular wanting Arteta out has completely changed now. But there's still 2 months left, so that'll turn again. Eamon, if you're listening.
It only takes one result to change that, Jonathan. One result.
I don't want to say any names, but Craig Smith. No, but it's just great, isn't it, to draw Friday, and it's definitely something to look forward to for the next 2 months. And then we've got the Euros then, so it's going to be a busy old summer as well. Is there anything else, lads, you'd like to mention about Dublin Arsenal Sports Club or anything?
No, I didn't get in last night. I would have liked to get in, but I wasn't well the last couple of days. So I didn't get in last night. Lucky enough, I would have missed the last bus home probably with the game going on so late. But listen, always a great night in the club, always great crack, always a good crowd, and it encourage anybody to get in for a game. It really is worth it. It's good to be among other Arsenal fans to roar and shout and give out and do whatever you want to do, So it's good.
And it should be big crowds, great atmosphere, and it's as close to the stadium as you're probably going to get this year, considering how hard tickets are. So,
anywhere the supporters club has been, it's just been, there's a different atmosphere. It's just the whole match day. It's just brilliant, isn't it? It's just, as you said, Eric, it's this close thing you'll get to being there. Yeah. So.
And like Eric was saying, I mean, last night he was in the Stockholm Arsenal.
Yeah, you were saying that, Eric. Yeah, is that a good spot?
Yeah, it was jammers in there. It was honestly, it was standing room only and everything else. So, one of the great things about traveling all over is, you can always find a supporters club to go in and watch a match. And especially a match like last night where you're just watching between your fingers, you're going, well, it's at least I'm not the only one. I'm not sitting alone in my living room doing this. So, it's good to have misery loves company, as they say.
Yeah. I hope every bar has a defibrillator beside it. Because we'll be needing it over the next. I think the River Bar is. I think they're thinking of buying one actually. After seeing Martin's ugly mug on TV, I think that even gave them a heart attack. No, it's been great, and of course, Friday is the draw, March the 15th. I think that's going to be on TNT Sports. I think. In the morning, I think 11 or 12 in the morning is usually held. So, for once, we'll be glued to that. Being a busy show, lads, for being a special show. I'd just like to thank Matt and Eric.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers, thank you.
As always, Martin will get this up when he can. The Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel is where you can catch us. The River Bar in Dublin City Centre is where you can catch us as well. The supporters club there, which is going to be busy over the next 2 months. And also a shout out to our friends Pepsi Cola, as I said at the start of the show. Thirsty for more, and we certainly are after last night. So until we've about 2.5 week break. The next show will be on Monday, April the 1st, for the review of hopefully a good result away to Man City. Thanks for listening and have a good week. Cheers, lads.
Guys. Thanks a million.
Thank you.